Our keynote speaker for this afternoon, I think you all know and are familiar with, and that's Virginia's Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. Ken Cuccinelli is first and foremost a loving husband to his wife Tiro and a caring father to his 5 daughters and 2 sons so far. After graduating from Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C., he went on to earn a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Virginia, a master's degree in international commerce and policy from George Mason University, and a Juris Doctorate from the George Mason University School of Law and Economics. In August 2002, he was elected to the Senate of Virginia, where he served until January 2010. And then, on November 3rd, 2009, he was elected as Virginia's Attorney General. After being sworn into office on January 16th last year, he took on the responsibility of overseeing the office of the Attorney General and its more than 300 attorneys and support staff. Just over 2 months into his term, he walked over to the federal district court and filed suit against the federal government, claiming that the individual mandate to purchase health insurance in the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. And as of a month ago, one judge agrees with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's good to see you all here. And I've been in the AG's office for a year and a day, and it's been a not boring year. But at the very beginning of it, you all were leading an effort to pass the Virginia Healthcare Freedom Act and doing a great job of it, and you were successful. And that put Virginia in a unique position even among our sister states, because as you all know, there's been some constitutional litigation over this. And the first round of every constitutional case is the attempt to kick out the plaintiff. And the United States tried to kick Virginia out, said we didn't have standing, we weren't injured. Not sure quite what you need, but one thing you gave us was something other states didn't have, and that was the sovereign injury of protecting our own legal code. You and I, each of us individually, don't have that. The way I explain it to people is, you can punch me in the nose, but you can't punch Virginia in the nose. Doesn't have a nose. And while you can deny the Commonwealth, or attempt to, we'll see, the ability to enforce its own code of laws, you and I don't have a code of laws. Now, Virginia and each of us individually are protected under the Constitution. Virginia is a sovereign entity unto itself under that Constitution. And the tool you gave us, I believe, has so effectively convinced the federal government that they aren't going to win the standing argument, that now as we begin the appellate level, we're seeing, specifically in the Sixth Circuit, where they've already filed a brief, they are throwing in the towel on the standing argument. They're throwing in the towel. And it's because I think they realize they're not going to win. And you all helped us get to that point. That brings us to the merits of the case, which is the question of whether or not our federal government can order us to buy any product. This bill is about health insurance, not health care, health insurance. And they're ordering us to buy health insurance. But if they can order us to buy this, they can order us to buy anything. And that incredible power has never before even been attempted to be exercised by this government. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even attempted to be exercised by King George III and the Parliament we rebelled against, much less our own government. That's where we stand now. And as of this moment, As of this moment, we are now at 1/2 of the states in the United States of America that are suing their own federal government as party plaintiffs to protect the Constitution against the federal government. And there'll be another one get in Florida, and Oklahoma's going to file its own suit. So by the end of this month, over half of the states of the United States of America, they're not going to be amicus brief filers, they're not going to be friends of the court, they're going to be plaintiffs suing their own federal government to protect the Constitution against that federal government. The Constitution is the document that governs government, but only if we use it. Congress, if we get close to 2/3, they'll pass it themselves. Out of nothing, that isn't hope, that's fear. And it's institutional fear on their part. It has always worked that way. And if you get close, if you help get that ball rolling down the hill, and our allies in other states, and I know the speakers work with other speakers, I've talked to other attorneys general across the country, there is momentum for this. But it's got to cross the finish line first somewhere, and I say Virginia is where that ought to happen. Virginia is where that ought to happen. So thank you all for that effort. I know many of you have been involved in advancing that. I hope you'll talk to your own delegates, your own senators, to advance that cause. I see Senator Ralph Smith here. I know he's a supporter and critically on P&E in the Senate. That's helpful as well. But there are other things going on in our office in the last year and a day that I'd like to reflect on real briefly with you that also touch on federalism. Particularly once you get outside of the health insurance bill, the EPA, the Employment Prevention Agency, has been very active in ways that it has never been so before in over 40 years of its existence. They are making up new rules and playing by them. You all remember Calvin and Hobbes? You remember that comic strip? You remember Calvin Ball? Calvin made it up as he went along. Well, the EPA plays Calvin Ball quite a bit, and that causes us great problems. First of all, the Commonwealth, as we go about the duty of stewarding our own natural resources, which we do, they frankly get in the way. They're doing, I believe, less traditional enforcement against polluters because they're so busy making up new rules for everything else. No, seriously. And they're doing two things at once. One, they're crushing the economy for almost no benefit. Their greenhouse gas endangerment finding, which we sued on a month before the health care case, so the EPA beat the health care matter by about a month. It turns out that they believe that if fully implemented with all the regulations that go with it, they will keep the temperature from rising nearly 5/100ths of a degree Fahrenheit by 2050. I might not be able to see my breath by then. And for all those who think that CO2 is a grievous threat to the environment, I believe those people have a moral obligation to stop emitting it. There's several ways this debate could end. Somehow I don't think that's going to happen. So I would ask your attentiveness to what they're doing there at the EPA. We're looking at a number of different areas where they have gone farther than they ever have before, making up new rules in some instances, going beyond their authority in others, such as the greenhouse gas endangerment finding, and violating the Constitution, also greenhouse gas endangerment finding. And that is only the beginning. You know, I come from Northern Virginia. It's not politically correct up there to defend coal, but guess what? We're a coal state, and this president and this vice president ran promising to shut down coal. I mean, that's practically a quote from both of them, and they're doing their best to keep that promise. Again, making up new rules as they go along to shut down as much of the coal industry as they can. This is in addition to the greenhouse gas endangerment finding, which makes the use of coal for energy, which has been getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner over time, not the other way around, more and more expensive. And let me tell you, one thing you don't hear much about is who gets hurt the worst by that. And the answer is simple: the poor. If you make $50,000 a year, energy takes nearly double the proportion of your budget, about 50% more of your budget, than if you make $100,000. And so on as you go up the economic chain. And the opposite as you go down. When you raise those electricity rates, and the president and the vice president have both declared that is a goal of theirs. They want those prices to go up because that will make us all use more. That's true when you're sitting in your house and freezing your tail off because you don't have the money to run the heat. True, we're using less coal. I'm not real sure we've improved the quality of life, the productivity of the citizenry, and all along the way we've managed to reduce freedom even more. And I have a problem with that. You all have a problem with that? I thought you might. I thought you might. These are the kind of efforts that we are engaged in going forward. Year one has brought us through round one of the health care case, right over here, the district court building over here. We're headed at the moment to the Fourth Circuit. As soon as the federal government appeals, since they lost, they have to appeal. But we all know that one's going to be resolved in the Supreme Court at some point in the next year and a half or so. But in the meantime, we have all these other battles where the federal government is flexing its 800-pound gorilla muscles, and there's only so much in the way of resources that Virginia and other states have to push back. We are working together. I will tell you that in 2010 I went and campaigned for some other candidates for Attorney General, and you saw some governor's races around the country. America is pushing back. America is pushing back. And that is a great hope for me. I am terribly optimistic about the fact that what Reagan had said is being borne out, and that is that the wisdom of America doesn't reside in our legislatures or in our institutions, not of education, journalism, anywhere else. It resides with individual Americans. And so long as the day does not come where that is no longer true, as long as we can rely on ordinary Americans to step forward and defend the principles this country was built upon, and still makes us the shining beacon on the hill to the rest of the world, even with all the challenges we face. As long as that is still true, there will always, always be hope for America and a brighter day tomorrow. And you all are a big, big part of bringing that to life in this age. It is the battle of our time. It is the battle for liberty. And I thank you for engaging in it. God bless you all. God bless you.